do some hot topics, trending topics. First live went down. Second live, I don't know what's going on. So I just have to kind of test it, but we'll go ahead and do some hot topics, trending topics. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21, where we talk hot topics, trending topics, what's going on in the world, just to kind of bring you guys up to speed and up to date. We talk media, we talk celebrities, and we talk world news. So we're going to get into both. It's being reported that Blac Chyna and Rob might be circling the block, possibly getting back together. So, what do you guys think about them getting back together and spending quality time together? Like I said in the other video, are the K's and the J's going to be shocked? Uh, happy, mad? Rob kind of keeps to himself. So, if Blac Chyna's able to bring Rob out of his shell, that'll be great. So, we're going to get into this in regards to what she had to say. So, just give me a few minutes to do my disclaimer, and then we'll get into more. But like the videos, you guys come in. Like the videos, you guys come in.
We're healing. Oh my God, I love you. And we're communicating. And we're just going with the flow. And if God be, then there will be something.
So, can I say this? I was with you guys. I had the privilege of spending.
Yeah. We're healing.
Oh my God, I love you.
And we're communicating. And we're just going with the flow. And if God be, then there will be something.
So, can I say this?
So, of course, that's a beautiful picture of her and what's been going on. And then, of course, the mom actually spoke up. So, we'll get to that. This is interesting, too. I have been seeing this video in regards to the turkey leg hut lady and the alleged concerns of what's going out there. Y'all see that what's being alleged. That's concerning in itself.
How do you feel about Rob and Chyna? No, there's no need for publicity. Something we have an 8-year-old child, 9-year-old child. Nothing's wrong with that. I love my baby father, but I can't stand him. You did? Yeah. And that's only because you made that little girl for me. Hello.
Okay, she's gonna start cursing, so let's get into hot topics.
She's in her 50s, divorced with 3 kids. He can get any girl in the world. Why did he spend $50 million to marry her? The answer is simple. She radiates life and energy, and Jeff loves that. Watch this clip. This is Jeff Bezos explaining his dating criteria years before he met Sanchez.
When I was telling my friends my criteria, one of the ones that I would list was that I wanted a woman who could get me out of a third world prison. It's just a visualization for somebody really resourceful, because I think that you don't want to go through life with teammates who aren't resourceful.
So what this is telling me is that subconsciously, Jeff Bezos is looking for a mama. He's looking for someone who can save him and get him out of trouble. He's looking for a hero. And that's why he eventually married Sanchez. You can tell she is powerful. Nothing scares her. And she probably saved his ass many times in private. I'm a life coach. And
so there's that. So
he probably saved his. So why did Jeff Bezos marry Lauren Sanchez?
It was an interesting situation where we were kind of surprised, but not surprised. She's been loved by many. She has ex-boyfriends that are pretty well known. So there's that. In regards to the wedding, a lot of people tried to trend over their own wedding. So that I found that interesting. So well wishes to Jeff Bezos and Lauren. Many people said whoever did her face concerns, many people were wondering why have the procedures done at all? Because she's a gorgeous young woman. But many people are saying she looked better before the procedures. Okay, we're going to get into news now. We're just doing some hot topics, trending topics.
400 years old.
Hold on one second.
The camera just hit the mirror. Oh, you got to watch that. Watch that. You're not allowed to break that. That mirror's 400 years old.
You care. You're in the comments.
I just moved it up here special from the vaults, and first thing that happens, the camera hits it. Hard to believe, isn't it? Hard to believe, but these are the problems in life. Oh, you gotta watch that. Watch that. You're not allowed to break that. That mirror is 400 years old.
Okay, so let's get to the news.
Protesters in Washington and across the country yesterday as Democrats try to cause chaos to push back on President Trump's agenda. The No Kings rally, funded largely by George Soros' Open Society Foundation, with more than $7 million awarded in grants to that group behind this particular protest. Despite the commander-in-chief's massive success these last 9 months, his opponent...
I don't know why people are trying to be rude. This is what we do. Hot topics, trending topics. You're not happy? Go on your own page and do your topics. Have a good day.
In the Democrat Party,
we don't do negativity over here. Weirdos.
As we now enter day 19 of a government shutdown. The president has freed up funding streams for numerous critical programs, including funding the military and other pay for federal workers, paid this week, despite the shutdown. But the ability to do so lessens the longer that this stalemate goes on. More now from the president on the impact. I know that things feel like they're going well, but we don't have any data. The government is shut down. How long is this going to last?
Look, the Democrats are kamikazes right now. They're kamikaze pilots right now. They have nothing going. They have no future. They have incompetent candidates. I mean, I looked at Crockett, Jasmine Crockett. She's a very low IQ person. She's polling okay in the Democrat Party. I can't even believe it. AOC is, I watched her the other day. It's like, you got to be kidding. This is not going to make our country good.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Communist man. It looks like we're going to New York. He's not a socialist. He's a communist. And it'll be very interesting. But remember this.
Are you going to endorse anybody in New York?
Well,
Cuomo or Sliwa?
Yeah, I guess I haven't made a decision, really.
Sounds like you're
It's
leaning
not
towards
like,
somebody.
well, I think it's not good to have a communist, okay? Would I rather have a Democrat than a communist? Barely. They're almost becoming the same thing.
What about a Republican, Curtis Sliwa?
Well, look. I mean, I don't know. He's a Republican. Is he really a Republican? Am I a big fan? This isn't exactly ideal where he wants to make Gracie Mansion a home for the cats. Gracie Mansion is a magnificent home of Fiorello, LaGuardia, and the great mayors, Rudy Giuliani. Yeah, Rudy Giuliani was the greatest mayor in the history of New York. He did a great job.
So you're going to get
He
involved?
went through hell. So I'll make a decision.
Soon?
Yeah, I guess.
It's only 3
I don't
weeks
know.
away. The mayor's race is 3 weeks
I don't know that I'm going to get involved. I don't want to be endorsing Democrats as an example. It's not my thing. But would you rather endorse a Democrat than a communist? Barely, because they're almost the same thing.
Well, Mamdani was on Fox the other day, and he would not give you credit for the peace deal. He said it's too early to tell.
I watched him a couple of times be interviewed, and he's pretty slick, but he doesn't have what it takes. He doesn't have what it takes. The city will be in big trouble.
Mr. President, do you think that the government shutdown is all about this rally that's happening this weekend, the No Kings rally?
No, I mean, some people say they want to delay it for that. A king. This is not a king. They're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king.
Right. No, but just so that Chuck Schumer could go and say, I'm fighting Trump.
Well, Chuck is, at the end of the line. He's being beaten by everybody that they poll against him. And, what he did is he did the right thing a couple of years ago on something like this. And he got hurt by his party. And it doesn't, I don't think it matters to him. I think he's just so dead that he'll do anything. I think they could just stay out forever. I mean, to be honest with you. Now, what we're doing is we're cutting Democrat programs that we didn't want because, they made one mistake. They didn't realize that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted. Giveaways, welfare programs, etc. And we're doing that, and we're cutting them permanently. We're cutting a $20 billion project that Schumer fought for 15 years to get, and I'm cutting the project. The project is going to be dead. It's pretty much dead right now.
Well, how significant will the layoffs be? Because now you've got a federal judge trying to stop you there as well, saying that any layoffs during a temporary shutdown is illegal.
These judges, I'm telling you, it's so terrible what's happening.
Yeah, let's get the likes up, you guys. We got 1 like, 49 in the building. I didn't go live over the weekend, so my numbers are going to be kind of steady. But like the video as you guys come in, please hit the like button. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Thanks for saying thumbs up the video. Thanks for saying show some love. I appreciate that.
The judges, when we want to go into a city to save the city, look at what we did in D.C. Washington, D.C. was a death trap. People would come from Iowa and Idaho and Florida, and they end up going home in a casket, right? They were killed. Now it's the safest city in the country. It took me 12 days to make it that way. 30 days to make it really good. 12 days to make it very good. And I'll tell you what, I'm so proud of the city. Do you see the way the city looks now?
It feels different, Mr. President. You're right. Union Station was
even the
totally
grass
clean.
is growing properly.
And Union Station looked good.
Union Station is a dream. It's a beautiful place. You couldn't walk through Union Station without getting accosted or mugged or hit over the head with a bat. We moved 1,700 career criminals and criminals from other countries that came in through Biden's open border. You know, the worst thing that Biden did, and I don't really think it was him. I think it was, he's not an open border person. He doesn't, I really don't believe it. He was surrounded by radical left lunatics who were smart. And yet they've been after me for so many years, and how am I doing? Yeah, I'm president. Here we are in the White House. Are we in the White House? I think so.
Yes.
Right? So we want to go in and do what we're in D.C. So we're in Chicago now. We're being met with, by the way, the people love us. The people want us there. I said, beautiful black women wearing MAGA caps all over the city. It's the most incredible thing. I love it. And they're all, you know, there's like MAGA. I think you had them on your program. They're MAGA all over the place. But the governor, who got thrown out of his business by his family because he's a dope, but the governor, Pritzker, he doesn't want us in. You know, if I were him, if I were a Democrat and I were him, I'd say, come on in. What do you have to lose?
And
Come
you're
on
going to go to San Francisco next.
We're going to go to San Francisco. The difference is, I think they want us in San Francisco. San Francisco was truly one of the great cities of the world. And then 15 years ago, it went wrong. It went woke. Remember my statement? Anything woke is, and I used a filthy, well, broke is another word. I used a filthy word, but I didn't. I took enough heat on that. I won't say it again. But it's true. I mean, nothing changes, right? But we're going to go to San Francisco, and we're going to make it great. We're going to make it great. It'll be great. Again, San Francisco is a great city. It won't be great if it keeps going like this. Chicago's another one. So the head of the Union Pacific, who you probably had on your show, he started off as like a conductor, and now he's the chairman. Sort of a great, so his father worked for the railroad, the Union Pacific, great company. And he was in my office, and I talked to him because he knows all the cities. He said, sir, save Chicago. It's a great city. We're going to lose Chicago. Save Chicago. That was 2 months ago. And I said, let's do it. And I'm met with like this legal force. And don't forget, and I haven't used it, but don't forget, I can use the Insurrection Act. 50% of the presidents almost have used that. And that's unquestioned power. I choose not to. I'd rather do this. But I'm met constantly by fake politicians that think that, you know, it's not like part of the radical left movement to have safety. These cities have to be safe. Our cities that are Democrat run, exclusively just about, are unsafe cities. They're a disaster. And I'm going to save the cities. You know, I didn't run on that. I ran on crime, but I didn't run on straightening out the city.
Hey, Sean.
Like the video, like the video. We're going to continue with hot topics, trending topics, what transpired over the weekend. Like the video as you guys come in.
We are in love with it.
Like the video as you guys come in.
The ranking member on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, welcome back to the broadcast. Good to have you here. So, if negotiations are going nowhere with Republican lawmakers, could Democrats try to...
Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for supporting the channel. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. We're about to get into what transpired over the weekend. So like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for being here.
No lie. And taking to the streets, and would ultimately amount to the biggest single-day protest in American history. The NYPD released a statement saying that there were 0 arrests. I spent the day at the biggest LA protest where there wasn't a single bout of violence. I believe one rally-goer in Ohio was hit by a car and broke her leg, but even in that case, that wasn't an instance of anyone on the left committing violence, which means that Trump and Republicans are left looking really, really stupid after an entire week fear-mongering to their base about the imminent danger that would be caused by this rally. So why is this important? Because it puts on full display the completely baseless nature of these claims being put forward by Republicans. They spent all week warning about the collapse of society at the No Kings protest, and we managed to get 7 fucking million people to be completely peaceful, which gives a window into the Trump team's strategy as it relates to all of the violence that they're claiming happens. Remember when they needed an excuse to deploy troops to LA this summer and said that the city was no longer capable of effectuating its laws, and that's why they needed to send in the troops? And of course that was shut down in court, but then the Trump administration said that Portland and Chicago were experiencing insurrections, and that's why they needed to send in the troops there. And of course that was shut down by the courts. You're starting to see the extent to which these people gin up fake violence to justify an escalation that never should have happened in the first place. The sad reality is that the Trump administration is looking for any excuse to be able to inflame tensions in this country because doing so benefits them. And it benefits them on multiple levels. They get to use that as some bogus pretext to illegally deploy the military in cities across the country, a military that Donald Trump will undoubtedly try and rig the upcoming elections with, which I've spoken about ad nauseum. Beyond that, they get to continue stoking division. They get to tell their base how dangerous and radical the left is so that they can make sure the working class Republicans are always at war with working class Democrats. And this way, nobody pays attention to the wealthy politicians who are laughing their way to the bank. This is what they do. It is all culture war all the time. Trans sports and DEI and woke Starbucks cups, all bullshit to distract from their actual agenda, which is effectuating the biggest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in the history of America and deploying the military to consolidate more power for themselves. That is the agenda. Everything else, the culture war stuff, that's window dressing. It's so that their working class base does not realize that they are being fucked over. So I hope that Donald Trump's voters, after enduring a week of rhetoric about how violent and dangerous all of these Antifa terrorists on the left are, only to see 7 million people take to the streets without raising a finger against anyone, I hope those Trump voters all can see that if Republicans will lie to them about this, they will lie to them about everything. Because the goal for these elected officials is to keep their base good and mad, or good and scared, so that they never realize that the people they should be mad at, the people they should be scared of, are the very people who they've elected to office. Next up are my interviews with Senator Adam Schiff and Representatives Dan Goldman and Robert Garcia. We're officially in fall, which means our schedules change a little bit. We've got back to school, we've got busier routines, and the days get shorter and shorter, so finding time to cook can be really tough. That's why I love Factor. Their chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious no matter how hectic the season gets. And there are countless reasons that I love Factor. You can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. Factor helps support your wellness goals. Enjoy even more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good-for-you fats. I love the global influence. For the first time, you can try Asian-inspired meals with bold flavors influenced by China, Thailand, and more. From more choices to better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live healthier lifestyles. So feel the difference no matter the routine. For me personally, I've chosen to spend my life swimming in the toxic cesspool that is politics, which means I don't have a ton of time to cook. But I care a lot about what I eat, what I put into my body, about it being healthy, and I care about the taste, which is why I love Factor. The meals are legit good, like what I would order at a restaurant.
Like the video.
Paid and an extra discount off your entire.
Often been successful. Or, for example, Pam Bondi's stonewalling of congressional oversight. For those of your viewers who watched her before the Judiciary Committee a week or so ago, I had a number of Republicans afterwards basically say they thought her performance embarrassing and a charade. But are they willing to say anything publicly or willing to do anything legislatively? Thus far, the answer is no. They are fully intimidated. I had one Republican senator tell me it's not just that he will go after them the same way he's going after me, and they fear that, but it's also that he will punish their entire state. And so they acknowledge what a personally vindictive president this is, and his willingness to abuse the powers of the government to punish them and their states.
Given that we've seen him abuse those powers, given that we've seen him, subvert the Constitution to be able to send ICE into cities and federal troops into cities in defiance of posse comitatus, and that really he's not bound by any law, statute, or even the Constitution, do you have any concern that he may try to take this to its logical, natural conclusion and Act, whether he uses the No Kings protest as a pretext to be able to do that, or whether he just has no pretext to be able to do that, but says we're facing an invasion, a rebellion, an insurrection from the radical Marxist leftists out there, and so we have no choice but to allow me as president to usurp all power and invoke the Insurrection Act.
I'm increasingly concerned that he will do exactly that, and most particularly because his acts keep getting struck down in court. So he's deploying the National Guard and the active duty military to American cities to be used against American citizens, and increasingly courts are striking it down. The federal district court in Portland, Oregon, for example, said that the presentation the Justice Department made in support of this, what were clearly violations of the law against using the military for law enforcement, that their presentations were untethered by facts. They were basically devoid of any factual basis.
And that was a judge, by the way, who Trump himself appointed, Judge Immergut.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And we're seeing judges in Illinois, in California, and elsewhere reach the same conclusion, that the Department of Justice, representing the administration in these cases, is acting in bad faith, representing things that simply are not true or provably false, and in fact are making the situation in these cities more dangerous than before the introduction of troops. Now, it may very well be, and I think Stephen Miller is signaling this, that if they keep losing on the lawless rationale they're using, they may try to invoke a different lawless rationale, and that is invoke the Insurrection Act. And that also clearly doesn't apply here, but it gives them another bite at the apple, gives them another chance to deploy American troops against the will of mayors and governors and the American people. So I am increasingly concerned about it. And when these cases or a challenge to that act goes to the Supreme Court, I have no confidence in the Supreme Court and its willingness to stand up to this president, because they simply have refused to do so up to this point.
Like the video, like the video. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Please hit the subscribe button. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
As it relates to this DOJ, we have seen so much egregious lawlessness from the federal agencies, from ICE, for example. There are so many videos and images of ICE just barreling people down with no justification to do so, crashing their cars into people, tackling people to the ground, injuring them, refusing to identify themselves, refusing to wear any insignia, basically acting as like Donald Trump's personal secret police force, accountable to no one and nothing. And so when we see such lawlessness at the hands of the federal government, is there any remedy when they, like, knowing full well that the DOJ is never going to rein in their own agents, is there any remedy here for Americans who are the victims of this lawlessness?
Well, there is a near-term remedy which has, often been successful, and that is litigation. People are suing the government, and they are winning. Cities are suing, governors are suing, private organizations are suing, and they're often winning. You have people who are U.S. citizens, for example, suing over their illegal detention. We just saw a report today from ProPublica about 170 U.S. citizens unlawfully detained, sometimes for days. So that litigation is really one of the most important tools we have. Is there some broader form of accountability that will come later, though, for these lawless actions, for a Department of Justice misrepresenting the facts to the courts? Hard to see that happening at all during this administration. Will it happen in the future during a different administration? We can only hope there'll be some form of accountability for this, harm they're doing and the flagrant lawlessness of it.
Do you think that Democrats have the stomach, though, for that? I mean, the reality is that we saw a lawless Trump 1.0, and what followed was a DOJ led by Merrick Garland, who I think was more focused on preserving the optics of a non-politicized DOJ than actually looking to hold people accountable for what they'd done. Certainly much more circumspect and judicious than any DOJ that we'd seen recently, and certainly more than Donald Trump and his acolytes deserved. And so do you think that in the event that we are fortunate enough to see democracy survive this, and for Democrats to actually get into power, that they will have the stomach to really hold the folks who are engaged in all of this lawlessness to account, to the extent that they need to be held accountable?
There has to be accountability. Otherwise, those that are engaged in these lawless actions will feel there's no repercussion now or even in the future. And you're right, the Republicans continually try to paint this false picture of terrible weaponization of that well-known partisan, they say, Merrick Garland, as if Merrick Garland was some kind of a rabid partisan, far from the truth. And they want to draw this false equivalence between investigating and prosecuting a president for inciting a violent attack on the Capitol, in which hundreds of police officers were beaten, illegally bringing boxes and boxes of classified documents to his home and then obstructing the investigation into it. They want to somehow equate that, those lawful actions to hold someone responsible, with the lawless actions of this president, who is, unlike Joe Biden, anything Joe Biden ever did, basically telling the department, I want you to prosecute this enemy, I want you to prosecute that enemy, I want you to prosecute this other enemy. And for those who lawlessly carry out those directives, who violate the Justice Department manuals, who violate the ethics laws under their state bar organizations, there has to be accountability. And it may not come now, but it has to come at some point in the future.
Do you think that the bar, for example, should also be revisiting its own standards in terms of giving power to people who are very clearly content to abuse it? I mean, we have seen many instances in which Trump's attorneys have been disbarred, have lost their law licenses. We've seen Jenna Ellis and John Eastman and Jeffrey Clark, Rudy Giuliani. But the reality is there are plenty more lawyers who are out there working for him. And I feel like a lot of the remedy to this is just kind of retroactively, once the damage has been done, wait a year or two before there's finally some accountability. But that doesn't help us in the situation that we're in right now. And Trump himself knows full well that he can always find another attorney who's willing to use their power to kind of give some legal weight to carry out his illegal plans. And so, does there need to be some change as far as the bar is concerned, to not empower these people to do what very clearly they're perfectly content to do, if it means they get to get into Trump's good graces and have some proximity to power?
I think the bar has rules of ethical conduct that are being violated all the time. Now, whether the bar has the wherewithal to enforce those rules of conduct is very difficult. Whether the bar in a disciplinary proceeding could get...
Please hit the subscribe button. There's about 139 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. We're talking hot topics, trending topics. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
The kind of discovery would need to hold people accountable. But what we see really, one effective check we've had, though it has its limits, is people who are willing to uphold their oath of office and their ethical obligations are quitting rather than engage in unlawful conduct or immoral conduct. We're seeing that at the Department of Justice, where people are being fired because they won't do unethical things, or they're quitting because they won't do unethical things. I keep thinking, for example, of the prosecutors who were working on the corruption case against the mayor of New York, and were instructed to dismiss the case because the mayor was useful to the president on a completely unrelated policy matter, that is immigration. And they asked these senior prosecutors, these public corruption prosecutors, to dismiss the case, and they refused. And one of them said, you may be able to find some coward or some fool to take this action, but that was never going to be me. And, you know, people like that who are demonstrating courage, and not just at the Justice Department, they're at the CDC and refusing to bless vaccine recommendations that are at odds with the science and give in to conspiracy thinking, and at every agency who are saying, no, I'm not doing that. That would violate my code of ethics and the law. That's been really important. These people are heroes. And others who step in and say, okay, if they won't do it, I'll do it. I'll do whatever I can to get that appointment, to get that advancement. I hope they're held accountable for violating their ethical requirements, for violating their department policies. I hope there is accountability.
I'll leave it there. Senator Schiff, appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm joined now by Congressman Dan Goldman. Congressman, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me again, Brian.
So can you give us a lay of the land right now in terms of the continued opposition by Mike Johnson and the Republicans to swear in Adelita Grijalva into her district? And of course, she would be the 218th vote, forcing this discharge petition on the Epstein files.
Yeah, I mean, you remember at the end of July when Speaker Johnson closed the House early for our August recess because he didn't want this discharge petition to come to the floor, and his members didn't want to have to vote on releasing the Epstein files anymore. So now we've come back. The discharge petition has been on the...
The likes should match the views. There's about 140 people in the building. Please double tap the screen. Let's get the likes up. Please hit the like button. Let's get the likes up, you guys. Let's get the likes up. Thumbs up the video. The like should match the views. To hit the like is free, free, free. Thank you.
Floor. There are 217 signatures. You need 218. And what that means, if you get 218, is that it has to come to the floor for a full vote in the House. And so, as we know, Speaker Johnson has kept the Republicans out of D.C. on vacation for the last 3 weeks. He shut down the House right at the last week of the fiscal year. So we didn't come in the 29th or 30th when we were scheduled to. And he has kept us out and has not brought us back into session. And while we've been out, he refuses to swear in a new representative-elect, Adelita Grijalva from the Arizona's 7th District, who won her election, I believe, 22 days ago, has been in D.C., has asked to be sworn in, but Johnson refuses to swear her in, even though he has, on a number of occasions in recent months, sworn in new members who won special elections within 24 hours without any pomp and circumstance.
And so what's the long-term play here? Is it just to never come back into session? I mean, like, really, like, truly, like, what is the plan here other than just taking this thing day by day, and every single 24-hour period that Mike Johnson can do Trump's bidding by suppressing the Epstein files is just a victory in his mind?
In the last 4 years of the Bobby kids,
please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button. There's about 230 in the building. Please hit subscribe. Thank you. Let's continue to get the likes up. Thank you. Let's continue. Fair use.
It's just a victory in his mind.
I do think that's the way Mike Johnson thinks about it. I think, in fact, that's how he's thought about his role as speaker from the very beginning. And he even has said that at various points. I'm just trying to get to the next day. Yeah. That's basically the Mike Johnson strategy. Just get me to the next day. And what's really important is that he is very disingenuously and deceptively lying about what's going on. And he says, oh, he wants her to have the full opportunity to make a speech to the House when we're in session. Well, she doesn't want that. And he hasn't insisted on that for 2 of his Florida representatives back in April when he needed their votes. So that one doesn't make any sense because she says, I don't care. I just want to be sworn in so I can actually represent my constituents. You can't do any constituent work. They have no representation. And then he'll say, well, no, this is not about Epstein because the oversight, we're all for transparency. The Oversight Committee has an investigation into Epstein, and those files are going to be released in due course. Well, that's total hogwash, too, because the Oversight Committee's investigation and the authorizing document for that is much narrower than the discharge petition. And it does not include types of evidence such as video recordings, audio recordings, photographs, witness interviews. Now, if you were combing through a massive investigative file and you wanted to find out who the accomplices might be, those documents and recordings are exactly where you would look for. So he's acting as if, oh no, we're for transparency, we have an oversight investigation, but it's all part of the cover-up because that investigation does not include what is going to be the critical evidence that will reveal whether or not Donald Trump is included in there or any of the other accomplices.
I want to talk about the process of what would happen if and when this discharge petition actually has the requisite number of signatures in just a moment. But real quick on Mike Johnson, how do you square this pious branding that he puts forward with the fact that, in effect, what he's doing right now is just protecting one of the most famed and notorious pedophile rings in modern American history?
I think what Mike Johnson realizes is that Donald Trump has complete and total control over the Republican Party, and that includes Speaker Johnson. And that he is essentially a mouthpiece, a puppet, doing Donald Trump's bidding in the House. And every time that the Freedom Caucus or some Republicans try to stand up and tell Mike Johnson, no, we're not going to go along with you, he brings it to a vote, they vote no, and then he just defers them over to Donald Trump, who twists their arm into voting how he wants them to vote. So Mike Johnson's entire utility is based on Donald Trump. And it is very clear, given the complete 180 that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino at the FBI have made about the Epstein files, that Trump campaigned on releasing them. These two guys, in particular in the FBI, made their name on hyping up all these conspiracy theories about the Epstein files and how they need to be released. Pam Bondi says in February, we're going to release all of them. I don't know why we haven't released all of them. They spent thousands of hours going through the evidence to redact the information about the victims, which is absolutely